Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Natalie Gayle. I'm going to be hosting this 1 hour extravaganza. Very excited. We've got some super spoken word talented people coming on. So it's going to be extremely good. Let me just give you a little bit of a breakdown of everything we're doing and what we're doing it for. So this event, it's called Turn Up the Volume. It is a spoken word event which is organised by the amazing Give Blood, a Spread Love England, which is the Sickle Cell Society's blood donation project. So the Sickle Cell Society is a national charity that supports and represents people affected by sickle cell disorder to improve their overall quality of life. Approximately 15,000 people in the UK have sickle cell disorder, a disorder of the hemoglobin in the red blood cells. People with sickle cell disorder are born with the condition through inheriting it at birth. The main symptoms are anemia and episodes of severe pain. People living with sickle cell are also often at risk of severe complications such as strokes and organ damage. People living with sickle cell disorder often need regular blood transfusions. This can help prevent the crisis, treat anemia and other severe symptoms. But only 1.5% of blood donors in the UK are Black or mixed race. There is a massive, urgent need for ethnically matched blood to treat people living with this disorder. Closely matched blood is needed as it is less likely to be rejected by people having frequent blood transfusions. Today we have an amazing lineup of talented spoken word artists for you to enjoy. We're also going to be hearing from a lovely lady who is actually living with sickle cell to find out a little bit more about the positive impact that blood donation can have on people living with the inherited blood disorder. So before we get started, obviously I have to strongly encourage you all, if you can, to please sign up and become a blood donor. Giving blood just once can save or improve up to 3 lives. Literally, your blood can make such a difference to 3 people. You can register now and the link is in the group chat at the bottom. If you see their link there, you can click on that. It's so easy. Somebody from NHS Blood and Transplant will be in contact to arrange an appointment at a local blood centre. Blood donation takes only 5 to 10 minutes and the whole process is honestly only about an hour. So if you aren't a blood donor, I really would encourage you to help our community, do something selfless and save lives. I know it can feel a bit daunting, but if there's anything that you want to do to help, this really is something so simple and, you know, it takes 10-15 minutes out of your day. Okay, so let's get started. We have a 28-year-old poet, mother and cancer survivor who has been writing her thoughts and musings in form of poetry for over 15 years. Her name is Lucy, and she's going to be kicking off tonight's event with a piece called Kin. Thank you, Lucy.
I'll mute my mic there. That's kind of been the theme of the last 14 to 16 months, hasn't it? Just getting to unmute your mic and speak and no one can hear you.
It's literally that. This is the new world that we're still not quite used to.
Right.
Go for it, Lucy.
So I just want to say thank you for having me here. This is such a great cause and I am super excited to be part of this. When you stare into a mirror, what is staring back? Happy, healthy, confident, Black? Or do you not see colour? When you see a Black man, do you not see your brother? When you see a Black woman, do you not see your mother? When you look into a crowd, do you even see people of colour? And I know we are so much more than the hue of our skin. We shouldn't be defined by the family that we were born in. but we were sworn in. And the only prerequisite is that we are addressed by the presence of our melanin. It's systemic, unintentional, but it's always automatic. It's instinctive. Some might say the way they exclude you, exclude you, excuse you, alluding to the fact that you are not among. So forgive me for my overbearing need to belong, my desire for kinship with those who bear some resemblance to the bloodline that I share. And I know all your skin folk can't be your kinfolk, because some believe that blood is thicker than water, but I just can't help to see a little girl and not think her my daughter. I can't help but see a black boy and revel in his joy because he's carefree. So we live through them vicariously. We may have bonded over trauma and difficult experiences, but we are the moment, the movement, and everyone should experience this. And by this, I mean the shift. The fact that we no longer have to live like this. When I look into a mirror, I don't just see me. I see a mother, brother, sister, an entire community. When I look into a mirror, I don't just see me. I see a mother, a brother, a sister, an entire community. So tell me what I can do to make my sister new. Tell me what I can give so that all my brothers get to live. Kin by Lucy Lepe.
Amazing, Lucy. Thank you for that, and thank you for going first.
Thank you.
A bit nerve-wracking. When did you write that, Lucy?
So I wrote that a couple of days ago.
Oh, did you? Especially for this?
Yeah.
And how do you find, the current circumstances in the world inspires you with your writing?
Do you know what? It's so it's funny that you asked that, because over a year ago, at the time when we were going into the pandemic and there was a lot of visibility around like Black issues, I struggled so much to write anything because it was just too real, too raw, too emotional at the time for me. So it's only been of late that I've been able to kind of write about the things that have been happening in the last year and more. But I think what does inspire me a little bit to write more now is the fact that I am seeing some little changes, and they're small, I know, and a lot of people that work in like offices and corporate places can attest that the changes, some of them are performative, but although they are performative, that's the beginning, that's the start. It's like a fake it till you make it. It's not to say that we should just be satisfied with whatever we get, but it's a step up, it's a leg in. So if people are getting promoted into higher positions just so they can meet a quota, that still gives you that responsibility and puts you in a position where you can get that Black talent and get that, get the talent from other people that look like you. So yeah, I'm pleased to see that there were some small changes even where I work, and it's a privilege to kind of be around now and see that even though it's taken forever, things are changing, and it's a perfect time. While there's so much hyper visibility of Black issues and Black people, this is a perfect time to speak about this issue. Not a lot of Black people do give blood. Not a lot of Black people like to talk about their illnesses, and there's so much stigma attached to illness. And I think now's the time, if we're going to deal with some issues of people of colour, let's deal with all of them. Let's get them all out from under the table, and let's really like shake things up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. So well done, Lucy. Thank you very much for going first there.
Thank
and
you,
of
guys.
course, just need to encourage everybody to, spread this word. Make sure you are telling absolutely everybody just to sign up, just to do this now. It really does make a world of difference. Thank you, Lucy. Okay, let's have another performance. Safiya, are you ready to go?
Yes,
Hi.
thank you. Hello.
Looking fabulous. Away you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to this fantastic event. This poem is called The Headless Chicken. Glorious mess. An eruption of high-pitched belly juice sloshing the yard. Freedom. Webbed feet balancing on baked dust, nostalgic for more wrinkled souls. To amass gravel. Eternal rebellion. Drumsticks budding lonely emanations, dribble and slime, of the few who accomplish self-gratification in hard times while wild, bulging, bloodshot eyes and a tightened beak, horse and infestation of ants. I saw her neck skin wrapped round a dumpling, a foot in my uncle's ball. His grin informed me how heavenly the slipperiness of her vernacular tasted. Her peripatetic blubber satisfied our demands for lawlessness. Each chunk of temerarious fat a sacrifice I was discouraged from exercising. Enchanting, the epilogue she gave, shedding a pitiful impersonation of a domestic beneath a banana tree. Puffed breasts snatching the sun's rays, the wired fence slices it. Sun, now severed, balances on a tail primped in fluff, quivering, jostling in ambivalence, expanding wings, preparing to gently not when chimes, then argue with a tempest. To this day, I cannot eat chicken feet. Bearing witness to her ungainly parade of frenetic feathers, coerced me to covet the notion of pandemonium in my skeleton. To stand in a river of caterpillars hibernating heptudinious. To find temporary residence in Michael Jackson's left sock, so I know what it's like to dissolve into backwardness with people still praising you. To live as she did. Even without a head, she refused to die silently. Even without a head, she refused to die. Okay, so that was my first poem. I have two more for you. That was The Headless Chicken. This next one is called Plastered Heart August. On a walk through an asphyxiated city, your head, a rumpled newspaper, needs to be transported with more care. In a basket, on a yellow tricycle perhaps. You would ride round your neighborhood, returning only when jump boat was finishing its last few laps. Now free time looks like loose pocket change in the same gutters you're trying to keep your newspaper out of. You scour the streets with good news, but the gospel is in braille. And though you are used to sirens, these sirens lacerate the drums that yearn for, hey, it's so good to see you again. Should we go for a frappuccino? You hate frappuccinos. Though right now you would do anything to grab an invite for an overexpensive drink, gossip about how your area has been remodeled into a new ambiance of ugly, a burial ground in the air. Damn, this place ugly, you say as you cry through your feet, trudging towards an unfair war against an enemy you will never meet. Spring may have arrived, but your lifeline's brittle, smelling of dirty bootleg moonshine. The secrets in your bookshelf drag themselves into your mirrors. Not everything in your apartment is contaminated with you, and you are still learning who and what you are. You turn the corner, catch a glimpse of red. Red like a tempestuous tomato bursting its acerbity in a way you wish you could. Red heart balloon patched in plasters, you blink. You blink again, Your eyes, acoustic guitar plucks, bewilderment and wonder. How is it still floating, you say? As though faith could be graffitied. As though faith could live near crusty flowers and RIP messages. As though faith could exist between bricks and have the nerve to rise. You wonder if you could do that. If you, with holes, could levitate. You call it what you will be. And the month where time could be measured in cartoons and how long it took for ice lollies to melt, how frequent the laughter in the basketball court, how heavy the bass from someone's duct tape car, how creased your clothes, how frustrated your belly, and jump rope finishing its last few laps. You name your plastered heart August, retreat back to your dwelling with newspaper in class crate, speculating what you're made of. Cool. That poem, those two poems are actually singles now, apparently. And yeah, you can find more about me on my social media. I believe that was part of the poster. Okay, so my last poem, The Inaugural Bull of Heresy. I just wanted to end on kind of like a high. So those two were kind of about freedom, okay, the pandemic, and this one, imagining a rebellion happens. The rebellion actually happens. Cool. The Inaugural Bull of Heresy. On the 5th day of the revolution, the chicken shop was still open. We were never trying to be scandalous. It's just that boiled leeks taste like poverty. Tear gas and rocks chased after embers flirting with night, like short skirts slipping discreetly past the border between ass cheek and thigh. The financial district had never been mottled in so many brown bodies, coyotes howling at the uprising. A worshipper of Mammon snapped the beak of a homeless man, dipped it in oyster sauce, and so it began. A stampede into the city's main artery, mutilating everything that once served as a deterrence for social mobility. We became mobile. We became UK funky, voodooed shopping trolleys without brakes. The state's power disintegrated, a flaccid warship, bowsprit, short and limp, when the first royalty skin was torn into the face of a monarch. I never set out to be a vigilante. I was just hungry. Fried chicken is the food for those on the broken side of democracy. The pointless other 200 items on the menu were replaced by notes of the original manifesto. The first snare I heard, tearing sellotape to cover peri-peri salad with "We will protect whistleblowers." Music sweetener, sugar coatings, of growing tribunals debating how to distribute wealth fairly and remix a soul classic with a drum and bass kick. The cultured chicken shop, hub of the new age, feeder of early risers and night owls, shacks for preachers ushering the blind to prayer, like DJs conjuring euphoria for lost souls. I would write, stand on wooden benches, spit spoken word. At the inaugural Ball of Heresy, we skanked for so long, Friday became Becks, we no longer desired him. While deer strolled on pavements, we sweat out in torn denim from learning how to trespass on all floors, sneak past surveillance cameras, throwing bottles grandiloquently to replace the flinging of peace signs with folded bandanas enveloping curses. Rebellion was all the rave. This was our get down, our Lindy Hop jive. We knew how to party, how to be the public frenemy, change the republic, dismantle the enemy, become the public, then live like disco fiends. That was the dream. When the rallying cries lost their thunder and the 53 bus returned to its normal schedule, the chicken shop remained open. It's hard to feel destitute with meat in your mouth. Maybe that's why the Mammon man behaved the way he did. Embroiled, plagued by a new disposition, we yammed on the chicken like we were kissing our teeth at it for getting caught or for being one. The ball may be over, but our ears are still ringing. Every time a cannon fires or a tank begins to pull its weight across the new world, it sounds like the bridge before a 16-count instrumental drum section. What if grime was just a figment of a brave young Londoner's imagination? and the revolution never happened. And we were just raving to silence all along. Cool. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, please give blood. I am on the card. I have my own card, so I also donate. Please join me in doing so if you're not already. And yeah, save lives, be safe, keep loving each other. Blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, Safiya. I was just going to ask you a couple of questions before you run away.
Yeah, I swear.
So you're British-born Barbadian, is that correct?
Barbadian, yeah.
And how long have you been doing this for? You've got a very special technique. I really enjoy the diversity in your poetry. How long have you been doing it for? Where's the inspiration come from?
I believe this is my 4th year. And I used to be a dancer actually, so dancing with academia. And a lot of my work is mainly created with dancing. So the second poem in particular I wrote while I was like choreographing an African ballet, I shall call it. But yeah, it's
okay.
That's why there tends to be a lot of like movement. So hopefully one, like, it's hard being on Zoom because already I kind of want to do all sorts of stuff. But I'm kind of like, this square, but hopefully one day in the future. Yeah.
Sure, definitely. We'll do a real life one, I'm sure, soon. What do you think are the barriers that we face in our community? Why we seem to massively struggle with getting the amount of people that we really need to give blood? What do you think that issue is, and how can we overcome it?
So this is an interesting question, and I think I remember, okay, so when did I come back from Barbados? I think, okay, so in about 2004, I remember hearing stories about this in the newspaper, and sometimes there tends to be like people tend to talk about things, and then we kind of get, it trickles down, and it comes back up again, it trickles down. And when I was asking, somebody, okay, well, why don't we keep talking about giving blood? And they said, well, other things tend to take precedence. And it's so frustrating when I keep hearing that, because I keep thinking, okay, well, there's something kind of, I guess, I'm kind of deviating. I will get back to the question, but there's something kind of traumatic about knowing that there is always another issue, and kind of, you see, I think, especially seeing people, putting up the hashtags, and then it takes on average 3 weeks for people to take them down, change their profile pictures. There's something traumatic about seeing people withdraw their love almost. And I think it's just, it needs to be something that's seen as constant, and not just kind of this, okay, and now, like, so for example, mental health awareness week, things like that, it's like, it's just this one time, let's care about mental health, and then we're going to go back to not caring again. And so I feel like it just, the main issue for me is making sure that things are just common. So hey, are you giving blood? Why not? Great. And just having that normal conversation rather than it being taboo. And I think that's one of the main issues. Like, it shouldn't just be an event. It's life. Right. Yeah.
I guess it's almost going back to what Lucy said about, it needs to be on the agenda as much as all the other things that get thrown around. I guess particularly within places of employment, maybe schools. I think it should just be a constant conversation. Maybe we need to make sure that all of these industries and collectively companies and institutions are backing this, and constantly talking about it, maybe especially with young people, so that we can get the next generation to just think it's the norm. Hey, let's go give blood today. Thank you very much. It was wonderful to hear your 3 amazing poems. Thank you. Okay, so we have another performance coming up, but before we go on, I just want to reiterate, obviously, the purpose of what we are here for. Approximately 15,000 people in the UK have sickle cell, but only 1.5% of blood donors are Black or mixed race. Please just help us save lives, literally. We will save lives by giving blood. It is so selfless, and registering to become a blood donor is so easy to do. You can do it this evening. You can do it right now. The link is in the chat. Give it a click. Somebody will get in contact with you. Arrange it at your local centre, and it will be 5 to 10 minutes of your week. Okay, up next we have Becksy. Becksy, are you ready to go?
Good to go, as long as you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
My name is Becksy Becks, and this piece is called Broken. See, I've never broken a single bone in my body like my entire life. Don't ask me how long that is. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, because that slice is the tastiest part of my Black woman prerogative. Just know that I've lived long enough to make it to level 3. And my joints have never mimicked the opening of pages and dislocated. My ankle, I may have sprained it a few times, but never was there a decline in marrow to tissue ratio. And I know I only have my bones to thank, because my wrist would never have remained unbroken if my legs had not spoken with the ground first and whispered to the wind, gathering mercilessly beneath unexpected wings to please let me down gently. Evidently, caged birds continue to sing behind these ribs that know more chords than it could ever hum, thanks to these arms dressed like soldiers on front lines that sometimes always take the fall. And my head, it would never be standing so tall if my spine had been made of the type of mud that loves to dance in the rain. A body cannot survive on limbs alone. And we cannot thrive as people until we build a home. Yes, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a vacant community to make them twice as hard as their empty buildings and centers on estates that this government continues to systemically shut down, carving out souls as empty as the idle youths our Home Office continues to steadily let down. Now, I started poetry, and fortunately, I was lucky enough to find my soul tribe. But it wasn't always that way. I remember I once stood with loneliness on the other end of the hallway, and that gateway opened to reveal fresh handprints woven out of blue and white withered palms, where torsos stood calm, feet were prisoned shoulders apart as the heart raced and the eyes chased for exits written beneath the humbling fear of hearing mothers' tyrannized tears for the first time since the shriveling of cherry blossom petals on ruptured soil. That gateway, it opened yesterday, and I haven't been able to dream of anything else since, because it was so succinct. I used to sit in barbed wire parks, watching the passing of paradise in my autumn leaves, because they only seem to blossom in the spring now. The only thing that I win now are lost causes on a daily basis. How can I escape this? Being alone, I drew frozen breath into tropical lungs where my stare hung with time. Have you ever seen a moth without its wings? Imagine having to sing with only your neighbor's tongue and feeling their sound waves on your fingertips. See, that gateway of loneliness opened, and it felt like I was wrapped in this backward tide. Have you ever known a tide to take its instructions from the sun? It wouldn't make sense. Yet I've spent more time alone than I have on the phone. I used to dine on nights rounded tables with meals made for one, and I would hum a loneliness into my bones that selfishness could not remove until the universe asked my father to die and proved that community really is your backbone. See, we live in this world where we're constantly being taught to be something. And sometimes I can get overwhelmed and I get stuck in this realm and my confidence starts to fall. and my anxiety starts to want nothing but privacy, to the point where I'm so closed off at times, I won't even let my breath get inside of me. My lung capacity has no safe space when my thoughts are misplaced. And when it gets too much, I often wonder, how do I unlearn what I've been conditioned to learn? How much of it is environmental and how much of it is just human nature? We're not meant to be alone. Because when I think of nature, I wonder, is the rain ever taught to be something that it's not? Is the wind ever told, could you maybe smile more or blow with a little more energy? Is intensity ever asked of the clouds? Are the birds required to sing their song a little louder than they already are? Dear sun, you're perfect. It's just we're looking for a bit more je ne sais quoi. How far can stars travel in these skies before we can no longer see their shine? Where the river lies, I wonder if that mud is ever coerced into being just a little bit more sticky. How busy are the bees kept when they are making honey for themselves? Are they even aware of where are they even aware that they are just replenishing market shelves? Do their thoughts ever delve into where the excess honey gets leaked into? What about bamboo? Is it ever mistaken for sugarcane? Are false accusations made of coconuts? Is there an openness requested of the Venus flytrap? How exact is the science that demands consistency from the centipede? And what about lava? Is it agreed somewhere that he should become butterfly and not moth? Underneath the moss, does there lie grasshoppers with no legs, just wings? Are dolphins encouraged not to sing? Are they ever petitioned to switch it up a little? How brittle are the laws of photosynthesis? Is there an applause for bluebells that are more violet than they are violent? Do we praise quicksand for sticking to its guns? Can I run without being followed? Have I swallowed a voice box that can only be heard at a canine's pitch? See, I just want to exist without pressure from these waves. Can the echo of a cave be the depth with which I breathe? Must I heave at every hurdle? Can I not walk with ease? I mean, how quickly are the trees asked to shed their autumn leaves? Yes, flowers do not bloom without isolation, and bears, they cannot survive the winter without hibernation. So you must sit with yourself and heal. Just don't forget to pay it forward. I've never broken a single bone in my entire life, and I know I only have my community to thank, my backbone. Thank you. That was my poem. I'm Becksy Becks. I only have one, guys, so
That was amazing. It was a strong one. So well done. Thank you so much. So yes, you're also known as Becksy Becks, and I think you're a bit of a seasoned pro at all of this, as you have been an event host and a slam poetry finalist. So tell us a little bit about your poetry journey.
It's still going. So I started writing novels, kind of like short stories, but then I realized you can't like go on a stage and like stand there for half an hour reading a book because no one will listen. So I just kind of started writing poetry to condense those into little 3-minute stories. Yeah.
Powerful, loved it. And in terms of blood donations, are you a blood donor at the moment, or is everyone around you a blood donor? Do you feel like it's something that you can help grow within your local community?
Unfortunately, I'm not a blood donor personally because I'm anemic, so I can't give blood. But a large majority of my family are. All my immediate brothers and sisters are blood donors, and I encourage everyone to give as much blood as they can.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Amazing. Okay, guys, so up next we have an amazing lady joining us. She has her own sickle cell story. Before we hear from the final act of the evening, I thought it'd be the right time to have a little chat with her, and she's going to tell us just a little bit about her story and the positive impact that blood donations have had on her quality of life, so that we can actually get the other side of the story, you know, find out how these blood donations affect people who are in need of it. So we have Gildy.
Hi.
Hi. Is it Gildy? Did I pronounce that?
Gildair.
Gildair.
Yeah.
Gildair, apologies. How are you?
Pardon?
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm currently in recovery mode. I came out of hospital like a week ago now, so still kind of recovering with like from my chronic back pain. But I'll start from like beginning-ish.
Please do, yeah.
Speed through it a little bit. So my name is Gilda. I am 26 years old. I am a twin and I have sickle cell anemia. So my type is HBSS, and I'm a full-time pediatric, so children nurse. But I've been shielding for like the past year. So I've only just started going back to work recently, starting slowly. So I'm on like a phase return where I'm doing like 4-hour shifts for now and then building myself up to 12 hours until that gets my body feeling better. Because I feel like if I was just to go straight onto 12-hour shifts, I'd probably be on the floor. But yeah, my sickle cell journey. It's been very up and down, should I say. So when I was younger, I was in hospital a lot as a child, here and there for probably about 2 weeks, maybe at a time. But then as I got a bit older and into secondary school, I was absolutely fine. Like it was like I didn't have sickle cell, and sickle cell was something that I didn't like even speaking about. Like it wasn't really spoken about at home too much as well. So I knew I had something that caused me pain, but I didn't really know what it was, like anything about it, like too much. I just knew I needed to go to the hospital and get some pain relief, but that was about it. And that was all I really wanted to ever know. And I went about 6 years without ever getting admitted for like a serious crisis or anything. So I was like living life. And then it was only when I went off to uni and I came back home and started working full time that my condition started to deteriorate. A lot of the time it was like, what's your trigger? What's your trigger? Everyone was kind of blaming work where I started working full time and the stress of that. But I generally didn't feel like it was work because I never really felt stressed at work. I've always wanted to be a nurse. I love being a nurse. And I think that's just from childhood. That's all I've ever known, kind of thing. And I always used to look at the nurses when I was younger and think, oh my gosh, I want to be like them. So I generally didn't think it was like really stressful. So I don't really know what triggered like this whole rapid downfall, should I say, in my sickle cell. It went from like 6 years without ever going to hospital to like being in hospital all the time for like major crisis. And it'd be like pain I've like never felt before. A lot of the time when I was younger, I used to get crisis in my stomach. But now it's like crisis, which is like an episode of pain. It would be from head to toe, like literally my head would feel like it want to explode. My chest would feel like someone was sitting on it, like I couldn't breathe. My back, my arms, my legs, I like to the point I can't move. And I would need like my parents to physically move me. And like the paramedics would always come and get me from my home. And yeah, it just went like really bad. And generally, I don't know why. And then it was a thing like trying to figure out how to treat me now, whereas I never really needed treatment before. And whereas I like also fell through the gap through transition, I never really had like a major consultant at the time either, which was not the best. And I moved to uni, then I came back. So I felt like I didn't have a home, like a hospital home kind of thing where I can settle out and no one knew me. So I feel like that was even worse and I had to kind of start fresh. But my consultant now is amazing. And then he suggested I start a tablet called hydroxycarbamide, which I was a bit skeptical at first. It took me a couple of years and it was a bit like, okay, now I'm sick and tired of like living with this pain and I just want to live my life again and just be a normal young adult. I was like, I just need anything to help. So I started taking the medication, but it didn't work very well for me personally. Like the side effects was not great whatsoever. So I kind of just stopped taking it on my own, which wasn't the best because I wanted to see if that was the problem or not. And then I eventually told my consultant, who then decided we would scrap the medication and go onto the blood exchange program. So that was the first time I've ever needed any kind of blood products ever. So it was very scary. And the first time I actually went to my blood exchange, it was very traumatic. I was literally crying my eyes out because my veins was just like non-existent and they couldn't run the blood through and they were trying to find just any vein anywhere, my legs, my arms, my feet, just to run this blood through so I can feel a bit better. And at the time I was on 6 bags of blood. So I'm so thankful to all blood donors. And I probably got like 2 bags maybe out of the 6 because my body just couldn't hack it, like with my veins. And they were talking about all sorts of stuff, like different lines they want to put in. And yeah, it was me and my twin then. It was just such a traumatic experience. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to go through this again? But even with like the 2 bags that I got or something, it made the most like epic result, should I say. So they usually check before your blood exchange what your sickle cell percentage is. So it's like how many sickle cells are basically in your blood at the time. So before I started the blood exchange, my sickle cell percentage out of 100 was 87.9. So it was about 90% of sickled cells. And that's why I was always so sick, because my whole blood is basically just sickle cells like floating around. And then after my blood exchange, and I only got like 2 or 3 bags, and it went down to 20.3%. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And the difference I felt like literally within a few days was like unexplainable, like how my energy just went up, my pain levels came down, and I just felt like a new person kind of thing. And it was just amazing. And now I've been on the blood exchange program for over a year, and my blood levels are still really good. It does come up, but then as soon as I get my exchange, it goes back down. So my range is like between 15 to maybe like 20-30%, which is really good. And it's kept me out of hospital a lot. Like I'm nowhere near in hospital as much as I was before. The only time I probably go into hospital now is for my chronic back pain, and it's not for a actual sickle cell crisis, and I can manage that at home. So that has made like a huge difference to my life. It's crazy, and I feel like I can finally go like swimming and stuff like that. I can try new things now that I've got this new blood in me. And I didn't realize how like important blood donations was probably until like the pandemic, where like I only have 4 bags of blood every 4 weeks because I'm quite small. But then I know some grown guys that have about 10-12 bags of blood each time they go. But then during the pandemic at my hospital, everyone had to go down to 4 bags of blood. So at the time I had 6 bags, but everyone that was on the exchange program could only get 4 bags because they were scared there wasn't going to be enough blood donors for us, because Black people aren't donating blood. And it was so scary walking into hospital knowing I'm not going to get the amount of blood I need, and I could possibly get admitted because of I've got a pain crisis or something of another complication just because I didn't get my 2 extra bags of blood. And I can't even imagine how the people that were getting 10 bags of blood felt only getting 4. And I just feel like getting more Black donors to donate is so important, and we really need it because we don't have enough, especially the fact that we need Black people to find like the closest possibly matched blood, just so we don't get any antibodies or any bad reactions or anything like that. Like, I get scared. There was a time where they thought I almost had antibodies and they would have had to scrap that bag of blood and try and find a more accurate donor and stuff like that. Is like, I don't even know if we would have had that accurate donor in the hospital at that time. I would have had to leave and maybe come back another day because they probably would have had to source it from God knows where, probably even another country, just because they don't have it here, because Black people are not donating blood. And it's just really sad. But yeah, blood donations have been absolutely amazing for me.
It's so interesting to just hear it, from your perspective, just how important it is, and actually the difference it makes to you. Simple things. You're saying, you're as excited to go swimming. Anyone watching this will just so take that for granted.
Yeah.
It's like not possible unless you have this blood. So, I guess the message really is for people that 5-10 minutes out of your day can literally change someone's life. Like, it's really as simple as that. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that you mentioned. So you said your family didn't really talk about it very much. Was that when you were younger? Do you think that's sort of a problem within that community, that it's just sort of, let's not talk about it, sort of illness and things like that? And do you think that makes it harder to spread awareness, amongst the community?
I think it is a big thing, and I still feel like is happening. A lot of Black people don't like talking about their illnesses or what they go through, even in terms of like mental health and stuff like that. And even I remember when I first started trying to raise awareness for sickle cell, just like on Instagram or YouTube, my mom was really like, oh, why do you want to do that? It's kind of like a shame thing. Like, I don't know if they feel embarrassed that I have it, or like they just don't want other people knowing. But then after I've like explained to them, and like now because of my page, my family knows so much more about sickle cell than they've ever known. Like, I feel like it's my job to educate my family, considering I'm the only one with sickle cell. Even like out of my cousins, my aunties, my uncles, like my whole family tree is just me. So I feel like it's my job to kind of educate everyone, and now they're really happy for me for spreading awareness and doing like different projects and stuff like that. But definitely before, it was kind of like, Gilda, why do you want to do that? Like, why do you want our business out there, kind of thing? And I'm like, it's not like that. I'm trying to help other people and help the younger generation. I don't want the younger kids to go through what I go through when I go in hospital. And why is it that Black people don't know about sickle cell? Like, it's really weird. Like, a lot of my friends didn't even know what sickle cell was unless I told them, or just Black people in general. And it's like this one condition that like affects us the most and no one knows about it. So like, if we don't know about it, how do you expect anybody else to know about it?
Yeah, it's so true. Exactly what you just said there. For me growing up as a teenager, I had no idea what it was, and my family are Jamaican. Like, it makes no sense. If we don't know, then no one else is going to care about it. So you're so right. It's so important. I think it's great that, you kind of went against the grain there, and that you are spreading awareness, because I think, the younger people, the younger generation, they are going to be the ones to change this. It's not taboo. This is a disease that many people live with, and it's solvable. There are things that we can do to improve the lives of people that are affected, like yourself, and it is something as simple as blood donation. So if we can get over that stigma, you know, and especially in young people, just get them thinking this is just the norm, to talk about it, to talk about everything, you know, all types of health, but, you know, in particular this, and that blood donation should just be a part and parcel. I think somebody said it in the comments, actually, you know, it should just be a rite of passage. You know, you turn 18, let's start donating blood, you know, let's give a little bit back. That's what we should be doing as humans, and spreading that awareness.
Like my sisters, I'm grateful now my sisters donate blood, but that's only because of me. I feel like a lot of people, because they've not seen someone with sickle cell firsthand, they don't get it, or like they don't think it's as serious, which is quite sad in a way.
I think that's quite common of a lot of things, isn't it? People suddenly become very aware of the pain and the upset once it physically affects them. But I think we need to, you know, make the community aware that, you know, someone that you know is suffering with this, their livelihood is not what it should be, all because there's just not enough blood. So there are ways of spreading awareness, and it's great that you are. And thank you for sharing your journey with us. I'm interested to know, did you want to become a nurse because of having to be in hospital all the time and just the amazing work they do? Is that,
I was literally like, I want to be like them and make other kids smile while they're in hospital, and I just want to be a good nurse for like other sickle cell patients.
Bless.
And I know people like I'm not going to make it through because of my condition, but
oh, bless you.
I did in the end.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Like, it's so brave of you just to come on here and tell us everything that you go through. And of course, we will keep pushing. Round of applause.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. So now we've got the final act of the evening. It's a British-born Nigerian poet. He is part of a dance pop band, Benin City, and alt pop duo Hugh. He is currently releasing an album with bass producers LV, the extremely talented Joshua Idehen, who will be performing 2 poems for us this evening, My Love and Dad Poem. Hello, Joshua.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wicked. Fantastic. Thank you for inviting me to do this show. This is the first performance I'm doing this year, at least the first performance where it's not on Instagram. Thanks to the pandemic, it's sort of put a dent in that part of my career as an artist. It was great hearing a lot of people. It was great hearing that story about sickle cell, and my family. We have, I think my parents were carriers. I'm possibly a carrier, and my youngest brother unfortunately succumbed back in Nigeria to sickle cell, which was particularly hard because, like the lady before said, we don't talk about it. We never went to check it. We just knew he was ill. He was ill a lot, and I'm constantly ill. Like I apart from being a hypochondriac, I tend to have everything going. It's only by a miracle that I've made it through this whole COVID time, and touch wood, haven't been struck down yet. But anyway, I'm here to do poems. It's all just going to be poems I've done before. Of course, it's going to be poems I've done before. Yeah, never mind. It's going to be poems I've done before. And the first one is called My Love. And it goes a little something like this. My love is mine. And no, I don't believe in one love, and your love is not my love. You see, my love is far from lovely. Trust me, you don't want to meet it in a dark alleyway. My love is precious. You won't find it in Tesco's or Sainsbury's. My love is priceless. Saatchi does not have my love in the gallery. My love speaks the language of anguish fluently. When my feet don't beat, my love runs free. My love downs pills and whiskey, spits in public, sits in empty public houses. It starts bar fights with itself. It rides shotgun with a baseball bat, knocking out lamp lights. My love is knight and dragon. It's Aragon and the eye of Sauron. It takes actions like conclusions are foregone. If you met my love, you'd know it's a moron. And my love whispers like a blunderbuss, charging, barging, never count the cost. My love is strange and wondrous. You can't count on my love like abacus. Believe my love will abscond when needed and rail on you when needy, because my love is greedy, comes in one size only. My love never lies, is never bamboozled like a man of no value. My love has its own truths. It remains truthful too. My love never compromises. It just decided a while ago there was no high ground too high. It could not fall for you. You see, every word of my love inflects of you. It's not the buffest or the toughest, but every muscle in its body, it flexes for you. It sits between two lungs full of pride. It will not be taken for a ride, but my love is a foolish thing. It doesn't listen to wise folk, and my love does not joke. There's a furnace behind its smoke, no storm can diminish. It often does the stupidest of things, like walking through customs, declaring itself damaged goods. It will do the impossible. It will fly with fins, unsurprised when it soars, unsurprised when it stalls, and it falls, and it crashes, and it falls, and it gets back on up again, back on its stupid feet again, to do the same things all over again. Amongst the coins in the wishing well, my love is the heaviest, and it does not kiss and tell. You ringing bell, string a bell, instant fail. My love will cuss you down like Christian Bale. It's its own venom, its own weapon. There is no method to its madness, no measure of its badness. You cannot unsteady its steadfastness. Black holes across the galaxy gather around to study the majesty, the black of my love, but it can't match my gravity. Frankly, my love doesn't even like your love. My love will not walk with your love. It will not talk to your love. It does not box with mitten gloves. You war with my love, get written off more than can chew. You bitten off, beware. My love does not care if yours was there before its, and yours was the surest, and yours was the purest, and yours was most deserving. My love will eat yours and claim self-defense. Like, what the fuck did you expect from something this far from perfect? This self-centered and this self-taught, and all its wounds are all self-wrought. My love is nasty, feisty, vicious, conniving, it's crazy, petty, it's callous, it's cunning, it's cold, and it's cold, and it's cold, and it's cold, and it's friendly, it's flaky, it's colorful, it's black, and it's cold, and it's cold. And my love does not like Coldplay. You will not catch my love on a cold day, walking by the beach, staring at the sky, wondering why the stars are yellow. Nah, blood. My love rails against the rain with bruised heels and broken lips. You see, my love is an alchemist. It will turn lead into dust, and hopes you're impressed with that. And that's my love. Warts and all, it's the bitterest of pills. And if you know it like I know it, would you love it still? Cheers. Yeah, that's one. Sorry, my hay fever is going mad, which is why I'm sniffing. Yeah. Anyway, this is my next piece. If you haven't already guessed from the timbre in my voice, I am a Nigerian. And as any other Nigerians in the conversation will attest, parents have ambitions for you before your own ambitions materialize. And so when I told my dad I was going to be a poet, he was like, "Oh, you mean like Puff Daddy?" And I was like, "Not quite." And so we go back and forward on that. And, you know, I tell him, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And he'd be like, "Great, what about the money?" And yeah. So this is my final piece, that poem. I haven't done this in a long while. So I'm going to do something I haven't done for a very long time, which is apologize before the poem. If I make a mistake, bear in mind, it's just my brain rebooting itself, because I haven't done this in years. Anyway, this one's about me and my dad. 2 years ago, the bonds we had began to sag. I mean, unfortunately, he lived across the sea, so naturally there was a bit of lag. But recently, he's been cross. Reason being, I took a course in some fad, poetry. You clean your mouth after you say something dirty. You see, back in my homeland, children are more than children, they're investments. Investments are just a path to profit. So I tell him I be diverting from it. From now on, I'll be chasing sonnets. His response is sudden, swift, and so torrid. You want to teach any Nigerian patience, have him argue with his parents. You want to know if my dad is mad, yeah? He'll be stuck repeating that one same sentence. You want to waste your life. You want to waste your life. Dad, I'm not going to waste my life. Shut up. Sorry, Dad. This was about my dad and me. He lived across the sea, but at least an evening a month, we had a family meet. Now, these I remember vividly. They began with a family treat. Dinner was fried rice, fried plantain, very big pieces of very fried chicken. Telly off, me and my brother sat in the living room. Mother walks in like the harbinger of doom, and in her hand was father, on the phone, loudspeaker, and she placed him in the middle. Mate, forget Lewis Carroll. 5 minutes with my dad will make any Alice Little. You've never heard a belittling. You've never seen a belittling. 5 minutes with my dad, yeah, make a slap to the face feel like a dose of vitamins. Meanwhile, while I'm reveling in the bollocking, my brother's by the side, spread wide, eyes tired, look on his face like, oh, well, my brother keeps a mystery like Roswell. He should work for the government because he's all talk, no telling. Anything they ask, he's quick on the selling. What does Roland do? Sound engineering. He's a pub DJ. He walks in the pub down the road playing Britney Spears for £5.50 an hour. But my parents don't want to even know that. At least he's making money. You are going to die poor. I'm not going to die poor. Shut up. Sorry, Dad. Low self-esteem is a vicious dish made of a most malicious recipe. The dismissal of a parent I wouldn't wish on even my worst enemy. I know my dad. I know he thinks in his own way he's doing me a favor. You see, I know my dad. I know him well. He's carried on his own way. Sure, a lot of mistakes, a lot of risk taken. And I think in me, he sees the scheme to set things straight. You see, back in my homeland, respect goes to oil, the bullet, and food on the plate. And the pen don't weigh much on them steaks. The speakerphone is trembling. Treble from my dad's voice because he's so bloody irate, trying to hijack my dream like Somali pirate. But my mom don't say much, hush on the lip, in her t-shirt, leggings, and slips. She nods away to whatever my dad would say, and the more violent his voice, the more her head shakes. That's how they used to relate. Now, don't get me wrong. Me and my dad, we did get on. I'll give you an example. Take it back to 1997. You remember that song, that Eminem one? My name is, chicka chicka. It's a bop. I played it to my dad. Look what he comes up with. He goes through his record collection. He plays the track that track was sampled from. My father used to have a saying, I was your age before you. You will never be my age before me. And that's me and my dad. Remix meets original. Sequel meets origin. And even though I grew taller, I could never overshadow him. But you see, I'm on my own lane now. I'm whole grain now. I'm trying to explain to him that the path I've chosen may not be clear to him. But for me, it leads to a new thing, a true thing, a me. Shut up. Sorry, Dad. He says there's no money in poetry. It's all right having a fancy vocabulary, but that will never get you an audience with a bank or the tummy. You're underestimating steady cash in hand. It's the bedrock many backbones stand. You can't build a family on backward plans. I say he doesn't understand. He says, shut up. I say, sorry. For 6 months, 6 evenings, no budging. It's like I'm playing tennis with muffins. Goodness comes at me with full force. I don't want it. I send it back to the source. It disintegrates everywhere until Christmas evening. We're all gathered around in the living room. No telly, no rice, no phone. The relatives have gathered, and relatives only gather when things really matter. Times are great, or times are grave. And my mom is head to toe in the color of raven. And my brother's in the bedroom, locked door, welling. Topic of the day, who's going to pay? For the burial, the ceremony, the party, and the wake. Oh yes, he has 2 sons. They'll provide. What careers are they in? Crap. My heart has the tonic, but my pocket has no gin. Ever was a moment, this is the moment of no win. All my dad shut up, spin around and around in my noggin. Till I get a tap on my shoulder, it's my uncle. I can't look him in his face to stare at his sandals. You are the writer son of your father, yes? I say yes. Every time I met your father, he would always mention you. Now, I don't know what he meant by that, but then he followed it up with, you should write something about your dad. Something long. Something good, yeah? This one's about me and my dad. Thank you very much. That was me. Cheers, much appreciated.
Thank you, Joshua.
This
I'm sure a lot of people will relate to that one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Do you feel like there is going to be some sort of progression now that we're talking a lot more about, certain issues within our community? Do you feel like there is going to be a change around this, or do you think more work needs to be done?
I've been listening to, because you've asked sort of versions of these questions to every guest, and they've all been very, very insightful. And there is a lot of, there is a pathway through them. I think for me, kind of like everybody else, I went through the Black Lives Matter protests of last year, the situation, and eternally grateful to all those people who were at the front lines pushing forward, and all the conversations that were made. And yes, I do believe, like, the arc of justice is very, very gentle. And sometimes it's so gentle you can't see it. So we have to celebrate every single change that we get, whether it is the real progressive changes, or it's just, very minute kind of representational or just lip service. Everything that shifts is important, and we, whilst we can criticize, we should just be happy that things are moving forward. And I know I don't want to sound all gloomy and everything, because I do believe that there are a lot of people doing.
It's like Gildy said, isn't it? We have a responsibility to pay attention to this, even if it doesn't directly affect us. So I guess all we can do as a group of people, even here today, is just spread the word as much as possible within our communities, within our families, within our friends, because Gildy's story and all the other stories out there have really highlighted how one small action can have such a profound effect on an individual. And I guess it's not going to solve all the problems, but it will solve a problem for one individual. And I guess that's, in a whole world where sometimes we struggle with knowing what can I do and how can I help with so many problems, at least this is quite a simple one. We don't really need to think about it. We can just sign up, give blood, and at least, end that day with the knowledge that we've done something to help. We've done a little something. I think that's what I would take from tonight.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the world problems are quite large, and it can't just get you down thinking about everything. And if everybody just kind of picked one thing, whether it be sickle cell or fighting patriarchy or dismantling capitalism as it is, or maybe just kind of like taking care of bees. Like, I saved my first bee this week, which is, as someone who doesn't get on with bees, that was a monumental thing. But yeah, I think, well, however little, or in this case, donating blood, it can change your life. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joshua. Thanks for joining us, and thank all of our guests. You were all amazing. Gildy, thank you so much for sharing your journey and just giving us such a good insight into the impact blood donation really.
Honestly, I think it is changing a little bit. Like, I've seen a lot more on the news and stuff about sickle cell.
Yeah,
just even
people do know about it a lot more now as well, which is positive. As I say, I didn't know about it as a young person, which is absolutely mental, but my niece does now, and it's just that there are changes, and all we can do is just keep sort of pushing.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah,
we'll get there. We will. We have to.
We've got to rely on that young generation. I just wanted to also thank the charity that put all of this together, Olivia as well, who is on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie, for hosting. You've done an amazing job.
Honestly,
no worries. It's been great. And of course, everybody just spread the word, give blood, and just make sure we're having the conversation. Sickle cell is just something we should all be educated on. It's not taboo. It's just something we need to understand and learn how we can help.